Hey guys, what's going on? Andy Baker here, and today coming to you with just a little bit of raw training footage from a shoulder tricep workout that we did today. And this is the first time back in the gym for about 2 weeks. I was sick a couple of weeks ago and had to miss a few of my training sessions, and then that was, of course, right on the front end of a week long vacation where I did not have any access to any kind of gym equipment or anything. So been out of the gym for almost 2 weeks. So people ask all the time, what do you do when you miss training sessions? What kind of strategy should you come up with, if you go on vacation or you get sick? I never really take any kind of real special remedial action. I just kind of get back in the gym and I pick up where I left off. And I do what I can. The next workout on the schedule was a overhead press and shoulder tricep day, so that's where I picked up at. I think I left off somewhere around 205, 185, 205 for sets of 8 on the presses last time I did them. So today was obviously down a little bit. Hit these presses today. So 3 sets of 8, or 2 sets of 8 and a set of 10 on the presses. Nothing special. I pretty much always start a shoulder tricep day off with overhead presses. In a power building program, you start the workout off with a lift, always with a lift, and then you're going to finish with exercises. And so, a lift is about, moving the weight for a specified pre-planned number of sets and reps, and then you have exercises. And to me, the difference is that, exercises, now you're thinking about a muscle group, you're thinking about putting tension on a muscle group or driving blood into a muscle group. You're kind of focused now on how it feels. You're more flexible in your programming and your sets and reps and that sort of thing. But with a lift, it's more, you're thinking more mechanical and less about, feel. It's a certain set of mechanics. You're moving the weight from point A to point B, and you have numerical goals, that you want to hit, and exercises are a little bit more subjective. Moved on to the second exercise of the day. And so when I set up these power building programs, always start with just a standing barbell press, and then usually the second exercise of the day will be a seated dumbbell press. So I like to do another overhead pressing variation, and it's usually one of 3 things. It's either a seated dumbbell press, or it'll be press back offs. Okay, so like on my weeks where I'm doing real heavy doubles, then my second exercise, it's really the same exercise, but the second exercise will just be a bunch of higher rep presses to get a bunch of volume. But like today with the 8s, 3 sets of 8 on the overhead, that was enough, so I'm going to move on to a different exercise. So I did the seated dumbbell press today. I think we did 75 pounds on here for 3 sets of 8 to 10. I like to keep these with a very full range of motion. You see a lot of guys do these with much heavier weight than what I'm using here, but a very incomplete partial range of motion. And I don't understand, what the benefit is of lowering the dumbbell down to the top of your head or lowering down to the ears. The real benefit of the seated dumbbell press is to bring the dumbbell down deep, and you can kind of feel the stretch of the delt a little bit when you bring it down deep. If you'll notice on these, I angle the dumbbells inward, and that allows them to kind of slide down even a little bit further. The benefit of the seated dumbbell press, one of the things I like about it, and the reason why I include it instead of just doing more barbell presses, is it's almost like doing a behind the neck press, except it's not quite as hard on the shoulders. It allows you to flare your elbows out to the side. And you're not really doing that with the overhead barbell press in the front, where the elbows are a little bit more out in front of you. Works a lot of upper chest and a lot of the front delt. With the elbows flared out to the side in the way that we're doing them here, you get a lot more side delt. Still a good degree of front delt in here, but a lot more side delt. So when you're looking at trying to build your shoulders up and get your shoulders bigger, the seated dumbbell press is a really good way to go. And then, so I usually do 2 pressing exercises, one with the standing barbell, and then I'll prescribe a secondary pressing movement. And then I'll usually have people do a side delt raise after that. So usually just 3 sets, higher reps, 15, 20 reps. You can't really use a lot of weight on these, and so the only way to deliver enough stress to the muscle to force it to grow is to use metabolic stressors. Okay, some people call this like metabolite training, or it's like blood volume training. There's different different names for it, but basically you're trying to chase a tremendous pump. You want to go as heavy as you can, but form is paramount on these, and so is volume. And so I like to do a lot of reps, and I like to keep the rest period short. 3 sets of 15 to 20 with like a minute rest in between, and then almost always I will finish these with drop sets. So today I got, I think, 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps is all I could do with the 30s. My shoulders were pretty gassed here. I'm running out of steam pretty early in this workout. So 2 sets of 12 to 15 with the 30s, and then I believe I finished with the 25s and did 20 reps, and then followed that up with 2 drop sets, one with the 20s and one with the 15s. So, these can get almost embarrassingly light with the drop. So, but you're just not able to apply a lot of weight on these. I've seen guys do these with, really, really heavy weights, and I just don't think it's as effective as keeping the weight more moderate, and using good form and a full range of motion, and make sure you're keeping continuous tension on the delts while you're doing these. So the other thing that it does, and the reason I like to prescribe these, for my power building clients, is that after the 2 pressing movements, your triceps are a little bit fatigued. And I train the shoulders and the triceps on the same day. And so this actually allows you to get a little bit more work onto your delts while you're giving your triceps a rest, because we always start the tricep exercise, the tricep session that immediately follows our shoulder workout. We always move right in from shoulders to a compound movement for triceps. Today, what we did was, it was a little bit different. We did a close grip bench off of the pins with band tension. Started out with 225 plus monster mini bands, and I thought I'd get a little bit more than this. I was kind of hoping for 8 to 10, but I actually only managed to get 5. So I lowered the weight down to 185 and did another set. And I think I got 8 on this, 8 or 10 reps at 185. That's kind of notorious with close grip benching. And anytime, really, if you're training alone like I was today, when you're doing close grip benching, and especially if you're doing close grip benching with band tension, you really need to do them off the pins, because it's very, very difficult, even for an experienced lifter, to tell when you're going to die out. And the triceps on something like this can die out very unexpectedly. So it's much safer to do it off the pins. And you could argue that it makes it harder. You have to really explode into the bar in order to kind of what I call beat those mini bands up to the top. So I've got the monster mini bands on there, which deliver a pretty good dose of tension on there at the top. So if you don't get some speed out of the bottom, you're not going to finish that lockout. So it's really, really, really tough on the triceps. I really like this. What I did today was just 2 sets of the close grip rack press, and then from here, after the set with 185, I moved on to the isolation movement. So after the compound movement that we do, which is either dips or close grip or floor press or like a banded version, something like that, then we always move into an extension movement. So, and that varies. We rotate it around all the time. So it could be lying tricep extension. It could be a seated overhead extension. It could be a cable press down. Today, actually, we did the lying tricep extension on an incline bench, which is a variation that I really like. So not a whole lot of difference between doing them on an incline and doing them flat. I feel like you get a little bit more of a stretch on this incline bench. So I do like it here. So I did my 3 sets on the tricep extension off the incline bench. Use dumbbells on these is my preference. It just allows for a little bit deeper stretch and a little bit fuller range of motion. 3 sets, I think I did like between 8 and 10 reps on each of the sets, and I did descending sets. And then when I was done with all 3 sets, I actually went back to the rack press, and I stripped it down to just 135, and I did a set with 135 plus the tension on the monster mini bands, with my triceps kind of pre-exhausted from all those extensions. And that's how I finished off the day, was with that. And I wasn't sure how many I was going to get. I thought I'd either get like 20 or get, like maybe 0, depending on how fatigued my triceps were, because those extensions burned me out pretty good. But hit it right in the middle, got about 10 reps, and that was fine with me. and then left the gym feeling pretty good. So that was a shoulder and tricep day. Probably take the day off tomorrow and then hit some lower body training. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you watching. This is just a little bit of raw footage. You can kind of see what the anatomy of a power building workout looks like. And if you're interested, then I would invite you to go to my website at andybaker.com and look at the KSC method for power building. And it's chocked full of workouts, kind of just like this one, that you can implement into your own training. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.